It's All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We're wrapping up our latest Off the Road episode, and 2 days with the Stray Cats' Lee Rocker, who shared a very unusual experience with us, taking a cross-country RV trip during the pandemic, which he's documented on his new solo album, Gather Round. Hear that and the complete series at hawaiipublicradio.org. You can also find Off the Road on our HPR app and subscribe to the latest episodes on Apple, Google, and Spotify podcasts. When I look at all the cats you've hooked up with over your career, explain getting hooked up with the Rolling Stones. And when I mention that name and you think of your experiences, share the story or stories that make you feel the best, give you a big smile, and are just fun to reflect on.
Well, my relationship sort of with the Rolling Stones goes back to 1980. Me, Brian, and Jim, the Stray Cats, we left New York. I was actually 17 years old. We moved to London. We hadn't really thought it through very well, so we wound up sleeping in Hyde Park. Luckily, it was summer, and luckily we were really young. We literally bought 4 airline tickets, 3 for the band and 1 for my upright bass. And we managed to start getting pub gigs and some different things. And word spread pretty quickly. We started to develop a following and a crowd and a real buzz. And the Rolling Stones showed up for one of our very early gigs and sat in the front row. From that point, things started to really get off the hook and landed a record deal. We toured, did some dates on a Rolling Stones tour in the States. But I would say a story of mine with one of the Rolling Stones, with Keith Richards, that brings a smile to my face is in the mid-'80s, I had a band called Phantom Rocker and Slick. And it was me and Slim Jim from the Stray Cats and Earl Slick, who was David Bowie's guitar player. He also played with John Lennon on Double Fantasy. We did 2 records together. And we invited Keith Richards to play on the first album. He said he was going to show up, but we had no real idea if Keith Richards was going to show up. So we were at Electric Ladyland Studios in New York City, and we get a knock on the door. You know, it's the 80s and it's New York, so you don't open the door, you look out the peephole. And Keith was standing in front of the studio with no jacket, a 5-string Telecaster Fender guitar with no case, and a alligator medicine bag. So we let him in, locked the door, and proceeded to consume most of what was in his medicine bag. We recorded all night. Partway through, I'm also thinking thank you, Keith, and this is amazing. Do you pay him? Like, how does this work? I really had no idea. But that kind of figured itself out was as he was leaving, he went to the coat rack and took my custom-made leopard jacket, put it on, and left the studio.
Paid.
Exactly. So, if anyone wants Keith Richards on their album,
bring a nice piece of clothing to the session.
Right.
You mentioned John Lennon. Not a whole lot of cats have both George Harrison and Ringo Starr on their resume.
Yeah, I met both and worked with both Ringo and George. The first time and how I met them was through Carl Perkins. Carl wrote Blue Suede Shoes. He was the architect of rock and roll. One of them, if there was a Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, Carl Perkins would be on it. And he was put together a TV special, filmed in London, but shown everywhere. And it had Dave Edmunds, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Eric Clapton, Roseanne Cash, myself, Earl Slick. And we rehearsed for a week and recorded this fantastic concert, developed a friendship with George. Years later, got a call from Ringo to play on one of his solo records called Vertical Man. One of the things that struck me was first meeting George. He said hi and shook hands and smiled, and we're in the control room. We're looking out, and Carl Perkins walks in, and George is sitting next to me and goes, "Oh my God, it's Carl Perkins." He knew Carl for, forever, but the excitement that he had to see Carl Perkins.
Yeah, no, it says a lot about that kind of cat that he was. George had a place on Maui. Did you ever go to visit him there or no?
No, but I saw a non-musical hang with George in California a number of years ago, and he was telling me about the house in Hawaii, and that had come up because he was in California staying at a friend's house in LA and was saying he was afraid of the U.S. and what had happened with John and security, and just he felt uneasy. I think he was in L.A. for a few days before going to Hawaii, where he had mentioned he loved it and always felt so comfortable there.
And Willie Nelson you've jammed with. He's our dear brother on Maui. Never spent time with him out here, did you?
No, but I've done a lot of Willie events, 4th of July concerts, and played with him at the Atlanta Speedway. I'll never forget being in Texas at a 4th of July picnic, he called it. I'm going up with my band, and we start playing, and it sounds good, and the crowd is there, and it's just, wow, this is something is going on. So I'm singing to the microphone, the band's behind me, I'm playing bass, and I hear this other guitar. Willie decided to put his guitar on and start just playing along with us. So thank you, Willie.
What a great memory.
Yeah, we were doing some classic, probably That's All Right, Mama, and Blue Moon of Kentucky, and some early rockabilly stuff. And I heard this acoustic guitar, and it was just, that was cool.
Man, you've got so many stories and so much experience. And one thing about you that's also kind of cool, one thing about this whole series, so many people have played a little something impromptu, and it's nice because it gives you a little sense of live music. And I understand you've got some instruments there that are handy, and maybe you'd play a song for our audience and make our Off the Road series just a little bit more special.
Sure thing. I'm going to do a song that I wrote that's on the new record. It's on Gather Round. We also recorded it with the Stray Cats for the album called 40. It's a song called When Nothing's Going Right, Go Left.
It's Lee Rocker of the Stray Cats, new record's Gather Round, and he's doing a little exclusive performance for us here on All Things Considered in our Off the Road series. Take it away, Brother Lee.
When nothing's going right and you just can't read the signs, sometimes things go south and you try and walk the line. You thought you had some money and you find out you're in debt. You've been moving down a one-way road, headed for regret. When nothing's going right, when nothing's going right, when nothing's going right, go left, go left. Well, you found a diamond ring and it fell into the drain. You just can't get it out, girl, and you won't see that again. You need a lucky penny and you need a rabbit's foot to find a four-leaf clover, girl, you really gotta look. When nothing's going right, when nothing's going right, nothing's going right, go left, go left. Sat down at the table, check your hands and place your bet. You think you're feeling lucky, but you haven't won it yet. When nothing's going right, when nothing's going right, when nothing's going right, go left, go left, go left, go left.
That is ferocious. Thank you so much, my brother.
All right. Thank you so much. That was fun.
Again, it's Lee Rocker, Stray Cats, new record is Gather Round, and taking time to play us a little bit of music and also tell us some just incredible stories. A cat who went across the country and back during the height of the pandemic through August and September, got this great record as a kind of a piece of the trip in a lot of ways, huh?
Absolutely. This is probably the most personal record I've ever done in so many ways. Gather Round is what I did in 2020 when I look back at it. And I didn't even realize it until I was done with the record, really, like what it meant.
I hope that you had a good time doing this, and I hope that someday we can have you back on again. I really enjoyed having you as a guest, and I hope you have had a good time today, Brother Lee.
Totally. Thank you, Dave.